sportsradiodetroit.com.
Hello, everybody, and no, your ears do not deceive you. You are listening to the Wrestling Fans here on sportsradiodetroit.com. I'm your host, Marty. With me, as always, my good buddy, Ben. Ben, how's it going, my man?
Doing pretty good. Can't really complain all that much. So, yeah, I mean, everything is good.
Yeah, it's a nice Lions win today, which we'll talk about on another show later on this week. So that was fun to watch. You guys will notice Adam's not with us tonight. He's sick. He's under the weather. So he won't be with us tonight. Just me and Ben spitting out this podcast for you guys. And the first thing I want to jump into is and Ben, I apologize I didn't send you this earlier, but it's something that we've talked about, every so often on the show. The lack of leadership that TNA has. This goes back a little bit, but I wanted to talk about it because I wanted you to hear your thoughts on this one. We've talked about TNA being a sinking ship before. Now the partnership with Global Force Wrestling should have been a huge boost for them, and it kind of was. I haven't caught all the details on it, but they've broken up their relationship with Global Force Wrestling. So now I'm assuming that means Jeff Jarrett's no longer part of that company. I have no clue who's running TNA or Impact Wrestling as it's now called. I don't know who's running the ship, but Ben, what do you make of them going through yet another ownership change or another leadership change?
Well, I honestly think it's just an indictment of why TNA has just been so bad lately. I mean, you can totally tell that they don't really have any sense of direction whatsoever, and it's just something that, it's just a symptom of what it is. They still want to put on a product, and they've gone through 2 or 3 court proceedings. They've gone through a partial sale. They're doing all of these things, but they're not focusing on what's important, which is the product. I mean, they've tried to do innovative things by having like a King of the Mountain champion. That is exciting because anyone from the X division to the heavyweight division, can get that title. It's fun, but there's not really storylines. There's no real excitement around, their TV tapings. There's barely any excitement, if any, among any of their pay-per-view stuff. So, I mean, it's just, you can tell it's a trickle down of, a trickle down effect of what's happening up at the top at the quote unquote corporate level. It's this whole lack of leadership is why TNA has been sinking for the last 4 years.
Yeah, give or take. Pretty much since Dixie, or not Dixie, since Jeff Jarrett left the first time when Dixie was sole owner.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that, and I say this a lot. It's just, it's a shame of what TNA has become because they still try to follow, the same successful model. Take guys that were big in other companies but weren't really getting the shot that they thought they deserved and try to get them that shot and try to ride that momentum with, the fans and everything like that, to boost ratings. And I mean, you see guys like, Christian, Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, all these guys that are, other companies are like, yeah, we're done with you. And, they had Cody Rhodes for a little bit, and then even he left. He saw the abyss stare back at him, no pun intended. But he did. He sees it, and he's like, "This is awful." And he immediately jumped ship to Japan and Europe. He's basically done. And then he even goes technically to a downgrade with Ring of Honor. I mean, when you have a major star like that, just kind of look at it. I mean, now, at the time, we all thought the Hardys leaving TNA was a shock. Oh my God, how could they leave? And then you see all of this poison that's just going around TNA. You can easily see why the Hardy Boys went back to the WWE. Why would you be a part of a ship that's just sinking so fast, and they're not even trying to repair it. They just want to keep fighting legal battles. And like I said, the product and whatever fan base is left of TNA suffers from it. And now you have guys like the Hardys going back, to the WWE. You have, all of these, people just jumping ship. And now TNA is pretty much borderline irrelevant, which might be a good thing because you can actually kind of stop what you're doing a little bit and let the dust settle and then try to rebuild and try to get, try to make the promotion better.
Yeah, and it's funny you referenced Cody Rhodes and TNA, and he was just on Talk Is Jericho recently. He basically said the same thing. He said there was no leadership there. He said, he goes, Brandy and I were there for a little bit, and he goes, you just didn't know who was in charge of anything. And he goes, and I'm at the point in my career, he says, where I don't want to have to question things or something along those lines. But he was basically saying the same thing we are. And it's a shame because this isn't an indictment on the talent. Those guys and girls are going out there and they're busting their asses. But I mean, it's you talked about guys who were big in other companies that they're pushing, guys like John Morrison, Bobby Lashley, who again I've come around on Lashley. He's actually been pretty exciting to watch. But even his storyline that they're doing with him is it's so bizarre. Like we all know he's an MMA fighter, and they're bringing in like his MMA team to feud with the wrestlers, but he's not a wrestler in this. He's on the MMA team fighting the wrestlers. It's really stupid and kind of bizarre. But
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I think that's kind of interesting and funny because the WWE tried the exact same angle with the women's tournament. They literally tried it with what's her face,
Baszler.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, wasn't that exactly what they were trying to do? Like, at least try to, like, start, like, some fake rivalry or something like that?
Kind of. But I don't think the other ones were into it. I think they were – I mean, you could just see they were there. The only one that was even mildly interested in it was Ronda Rousey.
Right.
The other two girls, they were like, whatever, who cares? But, yeah. But, I mean, this was weird, though, because, like, the MMA fighters, they're not doing – I mean, they're going in, they're doing, like a gang fight kind of thing. They'll attack people. They're beating up referees, but they actually don't tangle with wrestlers very often. Now, say a week or so ago they did, and they just cleared house. But I mean, they weren't beating up anybody of relevance. I mean, they were beating up like some of the X Division guys and some of the guys from Global Force, like some of the imported wrestlers. Like it was really bizarre, really stupid. And I mean, I watch it every week. We all know this, but I've kind of checked out on it. Like it's getting to that point again where you're just watching, you're going, oh, just stick a fork in it. It's done. It's just not worthwhile. And for me, like, I'll be honest, like the main reason I even tune in is to see what Rosemary's going to do. And I'm even getting kind of disgusted with what they're doing with her. She hasn't won a relevant match in like 5 months. I mean, she's going out there and they're having her beat jobbers, which, okay, that's why they're jobbers. That's what they're there for. They're enhancement talent. But then anytime they put her in a rivalry, she's getting squashed. She got squashed with Sienna. She's getting squashed with Taya Valkyrie. I mean, I don't know. It's baffling. Like you have one of the best in-ring performers and the best, in my opinion, the best character in women's wrestling history, and she's floundering because God forbid you got to put Gail Kim, got to give her the title before she retires, which they just did. So it's just I don't know. Their booking is baffling. I mean, they have some stuff. I mean, they have some stuff that's interesting, like the whole LAX angle, the clubhouse, and they're kind of doing gang warfare on everybody. That's fun. They gave that OVE tag team, they gave them the titles, that's pretty cool to see. Basically an independent tag team just come in and just took it by storm. So, I mean, that's fun to watch, but I mean, it's just, the bottom's going to fall out. You just know it. And it's sad to see. And like an idiot, I keep tuning in, but no, it is what it is.
You're not an idiot for tuning in. I mean, you're tuning in because you're hopeful that it turns around. That doesn't make you stupid.
But it's kind of the definition of insanity, though, if you think about it.
I will not disagree there. I definitely will not disagree there. But, it's something that, like I said, I honestly think you need to let just the legal battles just subside, let those dust settle, and then just start over. Or I'm surprised that they don't, even though it's totally admitting failure, just full-blown partner up with Ring of Honor. Like, just do it. Like, combine the promotions. Do something. because right now, I never thought I'd say this, but Ring of Honor is actually above TNA or Impact, whatever you want to call it. Which,
oh yeah, it definitely is.
Which but Ring of Honor did something smart. I mean, they teamed with New Japan Pro Wrestling, so I mean they made themselves international, and with a WWE like presence internationally with New Japan, and it's just like. I'm not trying to solve TNA's problems or Impact's problems. I'm not. It's just you have to let all the dust settle because, like I said, the product's going to suffer. And, yeah, no one's going to want to see squash matches after squash matches or, MMA fighters fighting pro wrestlers is great in theory, but we saw that with the Attitude Era. If only like 2 or 3 guys buy in, you still have to buy into the pro wrestling side of it. You can't just be like, yeah, man, we're going to be there. This is fine. No. You have to buy into everything. And
yep.
And here's the secret. Wrestling school, not easy. It's not, and like every time like you get a look at the Performance Center when guys like, Triple H say, we have world-class athletes, former NFL players, blah, blah, blah. They come in and think this is a joke, and then they wash out after 2 weeks. There's a reason. I mean, yes, it looks fun. It looks easy. Yep. Wrestling is not easy. Like, it's not. So, like, the storyline angle is fine and all. It's when rubber meets the road, and when push comes to shove, and you have to start performing. You can only you can't have a match where you're having 2 guys just throw a wrestler over the top rope repeatedly. Like you can't do that, or like just throwing a punch or something. Like you can't.
No, I agree with you, and it's funny you mentioned that because it's true. I mean, if you follow WWE or Triple H or whatever on social media, I mean, they're always saying, "Hey, we've got this former NFL player, we've got this former boxer, blah blah blah." They come in to do their thing. And see what wrestling's all about and give it a shot. And you see, like you said, a lot of them wash out. Like it takes a special person to actually become I won't even say a successful pro wrestler. To become a consistent pro wrestler, to keep putting your body through that, whether it's touring the road and the bumps, whatever it may be. It takes a special person. It's not for everybody. I mean, you can see that anytime you tune into Impact. You can see that with Josh Matthews. He wasn't cut out to be in ring, but he's found his niche doing something else. So I mean, it's clearly it's not for everybody. We mentioned Cody Rhodes earlier, and this is something that I think Ring of Honor is doing that's kind of interesting, and I wanted to get your opinion on it. He's been defending the title, like if not every week, every other week on TV. But it's not like your regular competitors. Like he's challenging jobbers. Like he's putting the title on the line to jobbers. I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago, he defended against Cheeseburger, which don't even get me started on that. And then this past week, he took on this dude. I forget his name. I want to say it's something like Ralph Scorpio or whatever his name is. I mean, the guy's a good talent, but he's not a main eventer. But that's what he's doing right now. He's putting the title on the line against jobbers, kind of making himself more heelish than he already was. Like he's just going out there and he ends up, of course, beating them, of course. But it's just I want to get your opinion on him defending against jobbers and not like the main talent.
That's brilliant. I mean, it really is, because at some point you can do the typical Rocky 3 storyline, right? Because like that was the whole point of the beginning of Rocky 3 when Rocky's beating literally all these no-name guys, and he finally confronts Mick about it, and he's like, hey Mick, were you kind of setting me up? Like, were these guys fighters? And Mick's like, of course, like blah blah blah. I don't want you to get hurt, and like it's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant because one, like people hate you even more. I mean, they do, because as you just said, it's just it's jobbers. It's guys like to put it in, like if you don't watch Ring of Honor or TNA, it's the equivalent of having The Rock versus James Ellsworth for the WWE Championship. That is literally what that's like. Could you imagine?
Yes.
Like week in and week out, that like you'd be so infuriating. And the best part is that it does. It will set up a storyline, hopefully for a younger wrestler or a fan favorite to get a push, and finally just someone just has enough and says, you know what, American Nightmare, this whole show is a nightmare. It sucks. I'm going to change it. Like, he could just go in and, have a nice little feud with, Cody or what have you. And it sets up brilliantly. I don't have an issue with it, even though I'm basically saying the end justifies the means. The means in the meantime suck hard because, again, no one wants to see a guy like The Rock, fight a James Ellsworth every single week. That no one wants to see that.
Yeah, it's bizarre, and and again, I watch Ring of Honor every week too, and that's the world title picture. There isn't one. It's just Cody defending his other jobbers because all the other main event guys are all doing different things. Like they're kind of it looks like they're going to set up a Briscoe brothers feud because Jay Briscoe supposedly ended Bully Ray's career, and Mark Briscoe is still friends with Bully Ray, and now Jay's all pissed about it. So, Jay Briscoe's a main eventer. He's in a feud. Jay Lethal is, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's over in Japan or he's doing something along those lines. I'm not sure what Jay Lethal's doing. So it's kind of like a weird situation right now. Like I don't, their world title picture is just non-existent, and I mean that's fine with me because it shows that the world title doesn't have to be the focal point, which is kind of fun because you don't know what you're going to get every week. Unless you've been living under a rock, if you've been following, I mean, how many millions of people follow WWE's Twitter feed and Facebook and things, you know that Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis Bennett have been MIA for a while, probably about 2 months. There is a reason for this, and it's because he's been battling addiction pretty much since he got hired. He got hired with an addiction to pain pills, I'm sorry. And it's kind of been, he's been dealing with it. WWE's been doing what WWE does. They've been helping him get sober, and he's now, I want to say, two or 3 months sober now. I think he's 2 months sober, fighting this thing. He should be back soon. But I mean, it shows the kind of company that WWE has become, where they're saying, "Look, you need to get this right." Because back in the old days, you've been doing painkillers and addicted to pain pills, whatever, brush it under a rug and no problem. But now WWE, it's funny. It's funny how a fake entertainment company takes itself so seriously, but in a good way. They want to get him cleaned up. Not that it hasn't hurt the product any, because he really hadn't gotten traction. So I'm hoping when he does come back, that he's got a new character and that he's actually going to be relevant, because the Power of Love thing was kind of weird. It was kind of, well, I won't even say weird. It was stupid. And I'm a Bennett guy. I mean, it was nauseating. But he's got the talent where he can be an upper mid-card kind of guy. And there's nothing wrong with that, because those are typically the good matches on the shows, the upper mid-card guys. But that's why he hasn't been there. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, and this is one I want to talk about. Adam, when he's on, he likes to reference social media quite a bit. Finn Balor tweeting the Balor Club and, all the other things. And have you paid any attention at all to the Miz and Baron Corbin social media feud?
I've seen a little bit of it, and I've always had an issue with wrestling being covered as a real sport. You know what I mean? Like how ESPN does. I've always had an issue with that because it feels unnatural and it makes me feel uncomfortable. And to be quite honest, I feel really uncomfortable with social media and how they take their feuds to social media. I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing. I'm just uncomfortable with it. And it's a terrible excuse, but I am. There used to be,
it's kind of like an unnecessary peek behind the curtain.
It is. And that's the thing, they're not shoots. There's not. And they try to make it like they're shoots by mentioning loved ones or family. I get that. You try to have a sense of realness to it, but it's just I don't. And granted, I don't really follow anyone on social media, even though I've interacted with a couple of wrestlers in the past. But it's just it's the same thing. It makes me uncomfortable, because. You have these guys and it totally comes off as a shoot too. So like younger fans of these wrestlers will just eat it up because they're like, oh my god, like this is real. And then they'll have like maybe one match at a pay-per-view and it'll probably end. But like it's just that's what I feel uncomfortable about it. Like I don't hate it. I think for a younger generation to get the younger generation involved in wrestling, it's brilliant. You have to do it. They live their lives on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and what have you. So like you have to do it. I get it. But it's just as an old traditional person, I don't like it at all.
That title relevant. Well, the United States Championship is working overtime to make its holder relevant. See, I've heard all about you in the WWE ring, how talented you are, but to me, you're just another generic big man who will be gone in 2 years while I'm carrying this show for the next 10. And if you ever talk about my pregnant wife again, I'll knock your teeth down your throat.
Like, I just don't, because again, it makes me feel uncomfortable. But like I've seen a couple of promos. I really, I've seen, The Miz when he's driving in his car, like being like, Corbin, how dare you go, if I think he ended one by saying, if you ever talk about my if you ever talk about my pregnant wife again, I'm gonna like make you swallow your own teeth or something like that. And it was awesome because it was like passionate, but also like right when I heard that, I just laughed out loud because I'm like, if it was a real fight, Baron Corbin would destroy you. Like, oh yeah, like I understand it all, but like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, The Miz has always cut great promos. He has. That's the one thing he can do that actually traveled over from the Real World and Road Rules Challenge. But it's just, I mean, they're good. They're good for a young audience. They're just not good for me. I know, like you like them, which is totally fine because, again, they have to use the platform somehow. If you're not using it, you're squandering it. But they're not. I mean, again, the promos are not bad. I'm not discrediting the promos. I'm not saying, hey, don't do that. That's stupid. Because I'd be just basically yelling, get off my lawn repeatedly. But yeah, no, I like what they're doing. It's not for me.
Well, see, here's why I like it, because you know what you're going to get with The Miz. Like you said, he's always done good promos. That's kind of his thing. I want to see it translate for Corbin because on his social media accounts, the dude is awesome. You put him on a live camera with a microphone in his hand, and he's god awful. And maybe it's because he's not good at following the script. Maybe because we all know WWE scripts the promos. We get it. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's not good with that. Maybe he's uncomfortable with it, and he'd rather just freestyle. Which when he freestyles, you can see he's good. It's entertaining. But when he's out there cutting a promo in the ring or backstage, it's a train wreck. It really is. But it's been fun to watch because The Miz has been carrying it pretty much on his back. Because we get on TV and Corbin just gets owned by the Miz on the mic. But then they go back to social media, and it's kind of like Corbin holds his own. So I'm kind of hoping that the social media feud kind of translates better for his character on TV.
No, and that I was just going to say really quickly, that's a great fair point. Because you're right. Whenever Corbin and guys like Roman Reigns try to do scripted stuff, it sucks. But when you actually let them be under the guise of quote-unquote themselves, if it helps them break out of their shell, again, if it only helps the product, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and like it's just a weird thing to watch Baron Corbin struggle so much because his character is the same on social media as it is on TV, but for whatever reason, like there's just a disconnect with his promos on TV. I don't get it. There was a few releases the WWE made from the roster. Two of them were not surprising. One of them kind of was. We talked about it a little bit. The first ones that were not surprising was Summer Rae and Darren Young. I'm not surprised to see them go. They really didn't contribute much. Summer Rae was apparently when she was in NXT, Florida Championship Wrestling, whatever it was, apparently she was pretty decent. She was kind of a joke. Well, she wasn't kind of a joke. She was a joke on the main roster. Whether that's because of how they booked her or because she was nervous, I don't know. I don't know what her deal was. But she just never took off unless she was Fandango's dance partner. And Darren Young, no disrespect, but he was there for the gay community, which we all know, and that's not a knock. That's fine. They need WWE needs someone that can outreach to to that community and be a spokesperson and do all the PR stuff. And that's great. I have no problem with that. I don't think anybody did, but to see him get released, not surprising. And Ben, we talked about this one a little bit in our chat session. Emma being released was to me, it was kind of surprising because she was in the middle of a storyline. Like she was in the middle of the whole hashtag thing, and she was putting over Asuka. Not that Asuka needs it, but I mean, that's what she was doing. And then just out of the blue, just boom, gone. And it was really, really surprising. You could see even she was kind of surprised by it because on Twitter, she just put like a broken heart emoji, and that was it. She has since gone out and, thanked WWE and blah, 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 and, this and that. And she's changed it all over to her real name. But it was kind of surprising that right in the middle of a storyline, they're just like, yeah, you're gone. What do you think about this?
It's devastating, at least, because I think that they've wasted a good talent. Because when Emma first started out and she was doing, the weird bubble things and the weird dancing, that was not her. And, like, right when she went back to NXT to rebuild herself as this new Emma, she was incredible. Like, she was awesome. Like, I'm not just blowing smoke here. She was really, really good. And, like, I had hopes when they were going to bring her back to the main roster that she would be the same person, because they usually let at least the female talent be the same person as they were in NXT. They don't really change much. But instead, they tried to make Emma this... I mean, she's an incredibly attractive woman. They tried to make her be this swimsuit model, type, and that didn't work because she didn't want to do that. She wanted to be herself. And I think that Emma that we saw in NXT was more, quote-unquote, herself. So,
right.
They went back to that, and then when they went back to that, they weren't utilizing it for whatever reason. And that's not to say that, and we've talked about this before on this podcast, where the WWE does not properly utilize all of the female talent that they have on their respective shows. You usually get the same 2 or 3 wrestlers shoved down your throats, and it's like, hey, yeah, this is it. This is all we have. And then they do something with, like, Alicia Fox that doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, why does Alicia Fox all of a sudden get all this attention when you had people like Emma? And because Alicia Fox is not that much of a step up than Summer Rae was. I mean, in all honesty, like there's just no substance there. And you have someone like
what keeps her charisma?
Well, I was just gonna say, but then you have someone like Emma who's actually good and well-rounded, and you bury her, and she leaves.
Yep. Yeah, it was just weird. It was just because it wouldn't have been so weird if it happened when she was hurt, or when or maybe when she decided on that one day at Raw to say, "F it, I'm not doing this Emelina nonsense. This isn't me. I'm done." That wouldn't have been a surprise to see her get released. But like right in the middle of the storyline was just kind of weird. But I mean, that's WWE nowadays. It's really, really weird. Some of the things they do. And speaking of weird things that they do, what is with all these titles changing hands on TV now? I want to say it was last week on Raw, the tag team titles changed.
Yep.
On SmackDown, the WWE title changed. And not only did it change, WWE put spoilers out on social media to let you know what happened. I mean, you're going to have your core audience is going to watch anyways. You're going to have your regulars. I mean, you might, like, if somebody got away from it because, they're not using Styles, he's being a bum, like, they're using him like a bum, that might draw them back in and saying, Styles got the title back. But, I mean, it's just kind of weird that they're putting spoilers out there saying, hey, this is what's going to happen tonight. Because when it happened, like, I didn't even want to watch it. Like, I was like, I already know what happened, so why do I want to watch it happen? Like, I know it. What do you think about this? Like, I thought it was kind of weird.
Well, first of all, I love when they change titles on TV, because to me, I get that feeling of Saturday morning wrestling when I was a kid when they would do that. It was rare, and when I say rare, like it would happen maybe once a quarter, like every 3 months or so. But they would do that on, Saturday Wrestling. They would change titles a lot. And at the beginning stages of Raw, they would change the title. And then all of a sudden, in like the last decade, it's been like this like unwritten rule that a title can never change hand, or like a major title can never change hands. Like tag titles can, that's fine. But like Intercontinental Championships, WWE Championships can't change hands on TV. Why? Like, I don't like that unwritten rule. It makes no sense. And that's why I loved at a house show that, what was this? Not like, I want to say like 2 months ago, that at a house show, didn't AJ Styles like lose the title or something? Well,
yeah, to Kevin Owens or vice versa, maybe.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I think he lost it to. I think he won the U.S. title or something.
Yeah, that's what it was. He got the title off. You're right, off Kevin Owens. So like, you see something like that, and that's awesome that it happened at a house show where pretty much like nothing happens like that. I mean, that's extremely rare. But like, yes. I agree with you though. Why would you put that on your website unless someone accidentally posted it when they weren't supposed to? Because they were like, oh, if like, because I mean they're traveling so much, even though it's not really a good excuse. But like, if they're like, all right, we're gonna post this, and then they post it and they're like, oh shoot, like I totally forgot the U.S. was a 5-hour difference. Which, if that's the case, then that's terrible. But yeah, I mean that
the alerts even said spoiler.
Oh
like, that's
God,
what makes
really?
it so weird.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So okay, so never mind. That's just stupid then at that point, because
it was weird.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, I know when we talked about it off air, I equated it to, Terry Schiavone's, and Mankind wins the title. Oh, that's going to put a lot of butts in the seats. And then that's literally when WCW lost the Monday Night War.
Mick Foley, who wrestled here one time as Cactus Jack, is going to win their world title. Oh, going to put some butts in the seat.
But
yep.
I don't know why you would release that, because I think it does. It takes away from the moment. It like just put yourself in like this shoes. You're out, Marty, at I don't know, like some event with your family, so you can't watch Penn State play on Saturday. So you're recording the game, and then all of a sudden, a guy goes, "Hey, dude, you hear? Penn State just totally beat, I don't know, like Ohio State. Like, it was awesome." And you're like, dude, I'm recording the game. What the heck?
Yep.
So now, like, when you go back, you go like, oh, okay. Yeah, Penn State's up 10. I don't think they give up the lead. Like, there's still some magic of unknown there because you don't know exactly how it happens. But, like, since wrestling is scripted, like, if you know AJ Styles is winning the title, then you could be like, okay, that's kind of dumb. Now, with, like, what happened on Raw, that, like, even though they say it changed hands, the way it changed hands was awesome. Like,
yes,
that it was really, really sweet. So, like, I don't mind that the Raw one was spoiled because I didn't totally think New Day coming out of nowhere and just distracting everyone, and then Cesaro and Sheamus just stealing a win. That's brilliant. I mean, that's truly, honestly brilliant. But yeah, with saying, hey, AJ Styles, wins the title and then wins the title in a singles match, you're just kind of like, okay. So I get that weirdness.
Yeah,
that doesn't make sense.
It was real weird. And for those listeners who, again, if you listen to this podcast, you watch wrestling, but we'd be remiss to say that New Day was on Raw because Survivor Series is coming up, and it's Raw versus SmackDown. And ever since they went to this format years ago when it was all about brand supremacy, I don't care about Survivor Series because it's that one time a year when they go up against each other, and it's always stupid. Like it's always like it's just, I don't know. It hasn't been good for a long time. Survivor Series to me hasn't been good since it was winner take all during the Invasion storyline, and I want to say that was 2001, 2002. something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was the last time Survivor Series to me was really good because that was crazy. You had WCW wrestlers, you had ECW wrestlers, you didn't know what the hell was going on, and it was outstanding. But ever since then, to me, it's just been kind of, I don't know, it's been kind of weird. Like I don't really enjoy the Raw versus SmackDown angle on it, but that's just me.
No, I was gonna say you're not alone. The only Survivor Series that I enjoy, and I talk about it repeatedly, is the Deadly Game Tournament. That's literally the only Survivor Series I've ever liked in the history of Survivor Series.
Because I like the old school Survivor Series when they would just pull random wrestlers and put them on teams. You'd have like 5 random faces, and they'd take on 5 random heels, and that would be the entire pay-per-view. You'd have like 6 matches, and then that's what it would be. And then sometimes the world champion would be involved in one of those 10-man tags or 8-man tags, whatever it was. I like that format because to me it was just good versus evil, and that's technically what wrestling is supposed to be. It's supposed to be good versus evil, and it's that ageless battle. But it's anymore. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But couple more things, nothing major. There's a lot of buzz going around because she recently did an interview. Kelly is open to coming back to WWE, and apparently there's mild interest in making this happen. I don't remember who she was doing an interview with, but she said she would love to come back. She would love to because she sees how much talent is there now, and it's evolved from when she was there. Yeah, it evolved from when you were there, Kelly, because when you were there, it was all strippers and bikini models. So yeah, it's gonna be better. I don't really want to see Kelly come back. I wasn't a fan of. Yeah, okay, fine, she's hot, whatever. Who cares? Like when you're watching wrestling nowadays, let's face it, the people that are watching it want to see the actual in-ring talent. They don't want to see bra and panties. They don't want to see bikinis matches. That's not what people want to see nowadays. And Kelly just she couldn't deliver. What do you think about Kelly possibly returning to WWE? Because I don't want it to happen because I always thought she was a mediocre talent. But what do you think about this?
If she comes back, then I will cry tears of sadness because you again because like you let someone like I said, a complete package in Emma go away for it, and you so eloquently put it, Marty. She's mediocre. She's she's borderline garbage. I mean, she wasn't good on the mic. She wasn't really good in ring, even though she's athletic. And again, we talked about before, sometimes they don't cross pollinate. So like you're just like, okay, like what do you bring to the table? Like, I'm sorry. There's nothing that you could do in the ring that would make me interested in Kelly. Because you're right, she was there just to be a part of that really shameful Divas division where it was just, hey, we have the hottest faces around, and it's just going to be like, hey, strip each other's clothes off in a quote-unquote cat fight, and we'll have Jerry Lawler just yell, puppies, like every 5 seconds. Like, that was just garbage, and that's what... And the funny thing is, I don't even know why you would bring her back, because that's the only image that you associate with her. And I don't think you want that image coming back. With as hard as Stephanie McMahon has worked to try to put this woman's revolution over, bringing her on the roster is 10 giant steps backward in everything that you've done in the last 2.5 to 3 years.
I agree. That was beautifully put. It's funny you mentioned Jerry Lawler because he's kind of involved in this next little bit I want to talk about. It's no secret, and if it is a secret, it's the worst kept secret in the world, that I am a Chris Jericho mark. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care if it's his YouTube series of Hi, I'm Chris Jericho, but I'm Chris Jericho. I don't care if it's Fozzy. I don't care what the man is doing. I'm interested in what he's doing. I just think he's the jack of all trades. There's nothing the guy can't do, is basically what I'm saying. And he really went off the radar here and put something together that I thought was really cool. He put together he's calling it Chris Jericho's Rockin' Rager Cruise or something like Rockin' Wrestling Rager is what it is. And it's a cruise that's going to be in October of 2018 for 4 days from Tampa to Nassau, Jamaica, or wherever that's at. And he's literally going to have rock bands on the show. He's going to have DDP there doing his DDP yoga thing. He's going to have JR and Jerry Lawler are going to be there. They're going to be kind of like the hosts and doing interviews and things like that. He's actually going to have the first ever pro wrestling matches on a cruise ship. He's like, we did the engineerings of it. He said, we've got to figure it out. It's going to be, he said, and it's not going to be just like random talent. It's going to be legit talent. It's going to be all Ring of Honor guys. It's going to be, it's called Sea of Honor. And the winner of this tournament gets a future shot at the Ring of Honor Championship. I think that's super cool, man. I mean, this is all him. He got together, and I don't know what travel company he's working with. I don't know. That he didn't say that much. But I think that's really, really cool. And like, he's like, you guys don't understand. He said, we're going to be on a ship, so we're not going to be sequestered in our cabins. You're going to see JR out there drinking a beer at the bar. Walk up and say hi. You're going to see me and the guys from Fozzy up there, talking. Come up and say hi. They're going to be doing live podcasts from the yacht. Like, it's going to be like a big experience. And I think that's freaking cool, man. Like, I'm actually considering getting tickets because 4 days and you're getting all this stuff, and like, it's not even terribly expensive. I don't think. I haven't looked into prices yet, but I mean, it's pretty cool. What do you think about this?
It's innovative. I will give Chris Jericho a lot of credit. It's innovative. The only thing that they're missing is Lex Luger body slamming Yokozuna. I mean, that's literally the only thing that they're missing out of this whole thing. But it's cool. I mean, it sounds cool. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime experience if you're a diehard wrestling fan. And yeah, tip the cap. That's really innovative. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's funny though, because like he was talking about, he's like, I'm working on something for, and he goes, and I'll announce it soon enough, blah blah blah. And when he finally announced that he was doing this cruise thing, I was like, wow. I was like, that's really cool. Like, he's gonna have, I think all of his podcasts that are on his network on Podcast One or whatever that is, the Jericho Network, they're all going to be there. They're all going to be doing podcasts and stuff. So keeping it 100, all those shows. It's going to be pretty cool. And I'm curious to see how this is going to work, having a wrestling tournament on the open sea on a ship. I think that's going to be pretty cool. But I've been on some pretty big boats in my life, and you don't even really, to me, I didn't really feel any rocking or anything like that, and I wasn't on like a yacht or anything. But it's gonna be fun. I can't wait to see how this is gonna go. And Ben, one last thing we've got to talk about. It's the biggest story in pro wrestling right now. Alpha versus Omega. Chris Jericho challenges Kenny Omega.
Is this a lot of talk about Switchblade? My God! What the hell? That's Chris Jericho! Chris Jericho! It's Chris Jericho! What is this?
Kenny Omega. What a dynamic performer. What a fantastic, tremendous performer. But he's not the best in the world. I am. So many have claimed to be the best, from Shawn Michaels to Edge to CM Punk, but they're all gone, and I'm still here. Because I am the best in the world. I am the greatest of all time. I am the alpha of this business. And I'm going to prove it. Because I'm challenging you, Kenny.
What?
Jericho versus Kenny.
What?
Alpha versus Omega. To see who is really the best. I want to meet you January 4th.
What?
To Wrestle Kingdom 12 in the Tokyo Dome.
That can't even happen, can it?
So let's see who's really the best. Bitch.
Oh my God! Did I just see what I think I saw?
What just happened?
That was Chris Jericho, and he's just challenged Kenny Omega for Wrestle Kingdom.
And Omega looks happy about it.
What's he gonna say?
Jericho versus Omega. 面白いな。やってやるぜ。
He accepts! He accepts! He accepts! It's gonna happen, man!
This was posted all over social media by Jericho, and then of course the weather, the storm that followed along, people reposting, retweeting, and putting on their Facebook page. It's going to be awesome. Like Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, and it's funny because it all kind of started on Twitter. Their storyline, like Kenny Omega tweeted something, and then Jericho said about how Omega is not even the best wrestler in Winnipeg, let alone the world, and like just kind of went on from there. Clearly a scripted storyline. But it's still funny to watch. But he went out there and it's going to be January 8th in the Tokyo Dome, I believe. Let me check it out here. January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 12 at the Tokyo Dome. That's awesome. That is big news. It's proof that Chris Jericho he's just going out there and doing what he wants to do. And before anybody jumps down anybody's throat, he's not with WWE right now. His contract's up, so he can do whatever he wants to do. And he'll be back in WWE before long. He's not going to stay away for too long. But when you first saw this, what were your thoughts on this? Because I believe you were one of the first people that sent me the link to the video. What was your thoughts on this? Because I have goosebumps right now, and it's going to be exciting.
Well, my first thought, and I'm not. This sounds terrible, but I was like, wow, Kenny Omega speaks really good Japanese. I'm sorry. Like, that was honestly, if you want my true, honest first thought, I was like he really was studying hard to make sure he could connect with that audience. But in all seriousness, though, right when, it was kind of the worst kept secret, because after he wins his match, and they show the screen in the background, right when they did a countdown, the only wrestler that's ever in the recent history, I should say, of wrestling that has come out to a countdown of any type is Chris Jericho. So right when I saw the 5, what was that? Sorry.
Let alone with the Fozzy music playing over it.
Well, right, but I see the 5, and and then right when I saw the 5 go to a 4, I was like, oh my God. I did that. I got out of my chair. I was like, it's going to be Jericho. Because I didn't recognize the Fozzy music. I'll be completely honest. But right when I saw that, and then he does this whole, you want to say you're the best in the world. I am right when he said, I am the best in the world. Right when he said that, and then he's like, you have me, the alpha, versus you, Omega. Right when he said that, I was like, I'm in. Let's do this. Come down the aisle and just start beating the crap out of each other. This is going to be awesome. And then the best part of the whole thing, the best part was Kenny Omega says, I accept, in Japanese. And the announcers even had to say, oh my God, he just said he accepted. I thought that was just so, amazingly cool, because you have, I mean, as they say, arguably two of the best wrestlers right now going to wrestle each other for the first time, I think. I don't think they've gotten, they haven't gotten together, and we've seen Omega versus, Styles, we've seen that, that was good, and Omega puts on really, really good matches, and the fact he and Jericho are going to go at it, the only regret I have, and I'm going to steal a line from Triple H with the whole Ric Flair documentary, it's a decade too late. It's just these guys, even 5 years ago, this would have been better. Because a younger Chris Jericho would do things that now older Chris Jericho just doesn't do anymore. And it's just I want vintage Jericho versus now Kenny Omega, because that match would be even better. But it's either way, it's exciting as hell. I'm so all for, because to be honest, you and I did not talk about this. I always watch YouTube videos every day, like everyone else. No surprise. And I see this clip, like, this little preview window that says, like, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, my guess is that he calls out Jericho and that's it. But I did not expect them to actually agree to fight in a match in that entire 4-minute clip. Like, I didn't. And that's why I got really excited because, I mean, with YouTube, it's really hit or miss, right? It's like you get like these weird titles and it's not always 100% the title's what the video's about or anything like that. So I was going into it skeptical and I was just so happy. I was so happy. This is going to be really, really awesome. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's funny because as you were talking about this, I was thinking about something, and this is relevant to a future episode. The first person that sent me anything was our guy Johnny Susan. He sent me a screenshot of it, of I believe it was Jericho's Instagram account, and he's like, "Dude, oh my effing god!" Like he's like, "This is gonna be awesome," and then like, not even a joke, like 2 minutes after he did it, 4 people tagged me in Facebook. I think 3 people tagged me on Twitter. Like it was just all over. And then you sent me the link right in the middle of all that. I was like, "Holy hell, this is blowing up." So like, I'm excited about it, man, because I love watching Kenny Omega's matches. He's absolutely outstanding. And anybody that can make a 10-year-old child look good in a match, he got my vote. And he actually legitimately did that, guys. You can look that up. I don't disagree with you. I think 10 years too late, I think is pretty much perfect. I wish it was Jericho in his younger days, but I have no qualms about it now because they're going to put on a 5-star match or a 6-star match or whatever whatever rating you want to use. It's going to be off the chain. It's going to be so good. I might actually have to order that pay-per-view and watch it overnight or whatever, however it goes. But I'm really interested in seeing how that works out. I don't have anything else for us tonight, Ben. Guys, we're going to try and get back. We're going to get back to every 2 weeks putting out an episode. So brace yourself. We're going to have more stuff coming. I'm going to try and not be so WWE heavy, but of course that's the big thing. I mean, that's what everybody knows, and only the diehards or whatever is going to follow the other stuff. But it all bears worth talking about. But bearing worth talking about, Ben, what do we got going on in the network?
Well, we have Lions SRD every single week, which obviously you and I are on. We're still trying to get that Pistons podcast up and off the ground, but that will happen, as so I'm told by the master of programming, Roger Castillo himself, has said. Speaking of that, SRD Roadshow every Saturday, followed by the Saturday Tailgate with Jeremy Stover on CRB Radio if you want to catch it live. All that action starts at 9 in the morning and goes right up till noon. If you don't want to catch it live, it's always on demand. And if you want to catch, same thing for Out of Bounds, every Monday and Thursday. They're on Facebook Live, like their page. They do good shows. You can catch them live if you want to catch them on demand. It's always on sportsradiodetroit.com. Same thing, hockey. It's full bore. Spinning the Wheels is, doing content, talking about the Red Wings. We had actually a Tigers SRD episode, I want to say, about a week or so ago, recapping Ron Gardenhire, being hired and everything like that. And then cannot forget Fanarchy with, Keys and the gang. That's also on CRB Radio from 4 to 6 live on Saturdays. If you want to catch that on demand, it's obviously on sportsradiodetroit.com. And we will try to have written content for you as ideas come and sprinkle through. And yeah, I mean that's what we got. I think that's all. Nope. Laugh Tracks, they review movies. I'm not going to forget about them. Set Piece does soccer. So if you're really interested in the Premier League and everything like that, they do a great job breaking that down. And even the MLS playoffs are going on right now, so they break those down as well. And yeah, so like I said, I mean, there's content up to wazoo. One thing that we do ask, obviously, because we are wherever podcasts are found, help other people find what you like. Just, subscribe, give us a good rating so people can find us, and that's all we ask.
Yeah, there's just like a lot of the podcasts you listen to, it's just us. It's word of mouth. That's what our advertising is. So, go out there, spread the word. Hopefully you guys like what you hear. And in mid-December, I referenced it earlier, Johnny Susan's going to be coming back on for our yearly awards. That'll be in about mid-December, I'd say. We're going to have a yearly award show. That was by far, I think, the best episode we've done. And we've had a lot of episodes that I thought were fun, but I think that was by far our best one. And he said he's more than happy to come back. So we'll crank that one out in December. I got nothing else for you. For Adam and Ben, I'm Marty. We'll catch you guys outside the ring.